What's good, YouTube? If you're new to Know the Grind, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It's free to you, but it's major to me. Enjoy the video. Wild card weekend, just recap, man. The first game of the weekend started off with the Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Chargers. And, the Chargers, they just didn't play a great game at all. Justin Herbert was sacked 4 times, 4 interceptions. It's just not been a win for any games like that. You're not, you know what I'm saying? And shout out to the Houston Texans defense. Will Anderson on the D-line, Daniil Hunter. The defense is loaded, man. And they're young, they're talented, they got the right group of, guys in the right position. When you can get out to the quarterback, you can beat anybody. The back end is playing well. Stingley has emerged. The Lassiter's having a great rookie year. And, they're looking like a very dangerous team. Questions have to start getting asked about Justin Herbert. He's very talented. He got the height, he got the arm, can make all the throws. Nonetheless, he just doesn't win. He just doesn't. If we go back to college, if we go to NFL right now, John Harbaugh's done a great job. He turned the team around. Derwin James was finally healthy. Shout out to the Seminoles. And he had a great year, made All-Pro. And sometimes I find myself asking, is Justin Herbert really, is he just like a guy, or is he really like the guy? Because, too many times people try to put him in a conversation with Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and, Joe Burrow and all of them. And at the same time, I just keep looking at it like, what has he done? You know what I'm saying? He still doesn't win. And in another important game, he already blew his first playoff game where they had a huge lead and lost that one. And then he comes again in this game, which their defense was playing great. Houston's was not playing offensively, I'll say that much, was not playing well in the first half. And they gave them, CJ Stroud gave them multiple chances to capitalize on. And again, that shout out to Houston's defense nonetheless. But if Justin Herbert's one of those kind of guys, this is a game to where at least in the first half, they should have a bigger lead. And that's why I just begin to question, I'm not so big on putting him in them upper tiers of categories just yet. Not unless he's very talented and stuff, but I just feel like, we have to see more out of him before I just begin to crown him and put him in that conversation with some of the, most elite quarterbacks that's in the game right now. I definitely think Houston can beat the Chiefs. Now, I get it. There's some bias there for me besides a player. But nonetheless, I think if you're just going by schematics, Houston is good in the right areas. You know what I'm saying? They still have a number 1 receiver in Nico Collins. They can run the ball with Joe Mixon. You still have a talented young quarterback in CJ Stroud. And then the defense, they have the D-line with Patrick Mahomes. The teams that he struggled with the most usually can get out to the quarterback. And Houston has no issue getting out to the quarterback, and the DBs are starting to play a little better. At the end of the day, I don't bet like that, but I would not bet against, Patrick Mahomes. But nonetheless, if you're asking straight up, can Houston beat the Chiefs? I definitely think so. It's going to be outside. If, Houston can get the run game going, manage the clock, and I definitely think that pass rush can get there and affect Mahomes. Look out, man. I would not be surprised if Houston gets to the AFC Championship game, man. And the Ravens beat the Steelers 28-14. The steel curtain is not looking so still anymore. The Ravens definitely ran all over the Steelers. They look like just the better team. They look like the more physical team. And that's very alarming considering the fact that the Steelers, that's their kind of brand of football, even though it's the Ravens as well. You never want to see teams that's brand is to be physical get beat up on like that in that game. And that's very alarming. Lamar pulled the ball a lot on the zone reads in the first quarter. It looked like that was almost an emphasis of what they were trying to do. And at that point, when you still have Derrick Henry and you're almost more worried about Lamar Jackson, it's a scary, tough position to be in. You know what I'm saying? They're making the read option play look unguardable. If there was a purpose for the read option, it was to have a quarterback like Lamar Jackson and a running back like Derrick Henry running that kind of offensive scheme, man. I do not want to say that it's time for Mike Tomlin to go, but I do think this is a very unique situation where, if he stays with the Steelers, there should be no issue with that. As well as if he leaves, it might be better for him and the Steelers, because I look at a situation like like Andy Reid with the Eagles and the Chiefs. Andy Reid was never a bad coach, but sometimes things run its course with a certain team. And I feel like this might be one of those cases with Mike Tomlin, continuous playoffs. It's weird because it's like he doesn't really have the pieces he needs to really win a championship in the AFC, but he's too good of a coach for the Steelers to suck to get a top quarterback in the draft. So if I'm Mike Tomlin, I personally, if I was him, I might look at leaving, you know what I'm saying, and getting that kind of respect factor, because he's one of those great coaches where because of what he's doing, he's always making the playoffs. The Steelers fan base is kind of, they're looking at it and they're kind of taking that for granted in a sense. And sometimes that's when it's time, if you're an athlete or a coach, is like, all right, let me go to a new scenery where, what I'm doing is actually going to be respected. Andy Reid did the same thing with the Chiefs, and I look at him with Patrick Mahomes. I think Mike Tomlin can have that same type of effect on a different franchise if he has a true quarterback, whether it's a rookie or whether it's already a veteran in place, how John Harbaugh kind of got with Justin Herbert. I definitely think Mike Tomlin, he can't win the playoff scenario. I think all that would go out the window if he has a really good quarterback. I think this is the year Lamar can get it done. I think last year was the year too, and it felt weird because right in the AFC Championship game, everything that got them there with them running the ball, being a run-first team, Lamar running, they played the Chiefs and they abandoned that. Like, all of a sudden, they want Lamar to throw the ball 30, 40 times, and even though I respect him as a thrower and he's good enough to do that as he's progressed since his rookie year, that's not their recipe for winning. You know what I'm saying? Their recipe is running the ball, and I think because they went and got Derrick Henry, I think it's going to be very hard for them to get away from the run when it comes to that. And whenever Baltimore runs the ball very well and the defense is clicking at the right time, because people, were scrutinizing the DC. They had a new DC come in this year. Black coach, I'm always supportive of the black coaches. They were not looking as up to par as they should have with, all of those all-pros on defense. And now, as you're looking at it at the end of the year, they're clicking at the right time. And in football, all it takes is one game. And so with one game, you want to be clicking at the right time, and the Baltimore Ravens are doing that. And so I definitely think it can be Lamar year. I'm rooting for him. I hope they win. I would never be Lamar is one of those people. I think if you're a football fan in general, I think you just want to see them win. Of course, me knowing some guys that's on the team, Keem Mitchell, Dayton Wade, I would love for them boys to win as well, man. So if this Lamar year is definitely going to be earned, he definitely deserves it because he has everything else. He's potentially going to win his third MVP. And the ring would just be right, to end off his legacy, man. So to close out AFC wildcard weekend, man, we had the Broncos versus the Bills, in which the Bills obviously demolished the Broncos 31-7. The Broncos scored the first drive of the game, was up 7-0, the 40-yard bomb. It looked like they were going to compete, and nonetheless, the Bills just steamrolled with Josh Allen and everybody involved. And it's kind of what I expected. You got a rookie quarterback, first-year coach. Even though he's a Super Bowl winning coach, it's his first year with the Broncos. I think they kind of overachieved, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't think anybody saw them making the playoffs this year. So, hats off to them. And that's, that's all I pretty much say about that. This kind of needs to be the year Josh Allen gets over the hump. He's finally in, neck-to-neck MVP conversations with Lamar Jackson. And I think the funniest thing, even though I'm gonna make a video about it, but that they have to play the Baltimore Ravens next week. So you got, I feel like it's the MVP gonna be decided right now, even though I personally would still give it to Lamar Jackson. I think if you're Josh Allen and you want to be, that guy of what you're missing and, always losing to, Mahomes in those last second games, I think you have to beat Lamar Jackson at home because you guys are at home. There's no excuse for it. You guys are rolling right now. You're playing your best football, arguably your best year of your career. And you got Baltimore having to come to Buffalo where you got all the home field advantage. And so this has to be a game where he has to win. Do I think they will win? I'll save my opinion for that video. But nonetheless, if you're Josh Allen, you can't lose this game. I think Bo Nix has had a really good rookie year. I don't think some people expected that. I don't think I personally expected him to have a good year that he's had. But nonetheless, he has a great head coach in Sean Payton, who's been with Drew Brees. So it's going to be a great quarterback friendly system. They haven't asked him to do much. If you really watch the Broncos, offense. It's a lot of dink and dunk. It's a lot of time of possession. And he has the bigger receiver, Sutton, to, get a couple 50-50 balls on the outside that we've seen him, throw up a couple prayers, and 14s came down with it. And then obviously when you have a great defense like they have, their defense allows for him to not have to be, Superman sometimes. Not too many games, if you go back and look over the year, where teams are scoring, 30 points on the Broncos. It just hasn't really happened. So most of the games he's been asked to, don't lose it. Manage the clock, get us a few points. If you can get into that 20-something range, for the most part, the Broncos, that's a winnable game for them considering how their defense has been this year. So I personally wouldn't say he's had, the type of year of the Jaden Daniels to where it's just like, okay, he's bona fide, the guy, he's going to be a star. I think he's definitely earned the respect enough to where they're not looking for a quarterback for the next year or two unless he has like a drop off, you know what I'm saying? So has he done enough? I think so, for the next year or two, and we'll go from there because the NFL is hard, and some guys, they have a great, first 2 years or first year, and then they fall off the cliff. That's just how hard it is. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video.